This is session number 13 of the Sales Mastermind podcast. Today in the hot seat, we have Emmy. Hit the music. Hello and welcome to the Sales Mastermind podcast. Get ready to harness the power of the Mastermind community and take your sales to the next level. I'm your host, Jonathan Stewart. Emmy asks via email, I'm launching a new business and I'm just getting ready to launch my website and social media accounts for it. What should I be doing in the days leading up to the launch? So this is a good question, Emmy, and I'm excited to answer this for you. Like anybody, you don't want to launch your website and social media and only find that no one is there to look at it. You want to be actually reaching an audience, obviously. And so I believe there are 11 steps that you must take that will be very important, that will help you through this process to launch this in a big way and to see a lot of people immediately get on to your website to be following you and on your social media. So of these 11 tips, the first one is to just pay attention to your website. So make sure that you have a very clear message on your website. It should be really obvious what the main objective for each page of the website is. So when they go to your home page, they should be able to tell pretty quickly what the main objective is. So you might have something like Pat Flynn that says start here, and it takes you directly to some resources for brand new people on your website. You might have a specific lead magnet to get people to sign up for your mailing list. Whatever it be, you need to make sure it's really obvious what you want people to do on that page, and you want to have at least one specific one per page. And really, it's good to stick with one main objective per page so people know exactly what to do. Secondly, think about on this web page, is it really obvious what people expect from you? If you're a service-based business, you want it to be very clear what your service is. If you're selling a product, you want it to be very clear what that product is. You don't want it to be vague or hard to figure out what your website is about. Obviously, too, what might be obvious to you may not always be obvious to others. And so that takes us to our second tip, is to make sure that you get other people give their impression and opinions of your website. So you'll want maybe a friend's. Maybe you could post this in a community somewhere and have people tell you what they think of your website, maybe a pre-launch. But also there's a great resource at peak.usertesting.com that allows you to submit your URL, and somebody, a real person on the other end, will take a look at your website for you and just tell you kind of what they thought, and you get back a free video of somebody going through your website. Really useful tool. I'll put the link in the show notes for you guys to look at, but peak.usertesting.com. You want to make sure that your message is very clear. You want to make sure that your website is easy to navigate. You also want to make sure there are no big typos or links that are dead or pages that don't look finished. You want to make sure that your main impression of your website is good. If somebody comes to your website from a big launch that you do and they're not impressed or they can't figure out what the website's about, they will leave that website page very, very quickly and probably never, ever come back. So this is going to be very key. I know these are some basic things, but I believe these are very, very key. The third step of launching a successful website and social media is to make sure that you have a really clear plan in place. You want to have a detailed roadmap of exactly where you're going with your marketing. And then also within this, what is your marketing plan? What is your goal for people when they come to your website? Is it to drive them to a purchase? Is it to drive them to an email list? Is it to drive them to an affiliate link? What is the purpose? And so you want to make sure that you have a plan in order to take people through that process. For your social media, you need to make sure that you're not trying to be just everywhere all at the same time. If you try to be on every social media site that's out there, you will end up doing none of it very well. So what I recommend instead is to focus on one or two, get a really good following, get that process kind of automated and pre-populated with different tools that are out there, and then move to the next platform. And so you want to make sure that you master something like this very well before you just move on to the next and to the next to the next. Be the best that you can at each one of these platforms. Now, a quick tip for making content on these various social media platforms: repurpose your content on one platform to another. Now, I don't mean just copy what you put on Facebook and put that on Instagram. That's not going to be very effective. But what I do mean is if you did a Periscope video or a Facebook Live video, you could take snippets of that and maybe put that in other places. Or you might take quotes from a recent blog post and post that as something on Instagram. Or you might take a quote from maybe, once again, a video that you did and put that on Twitter. And so you can think through things like that. Maybe you do an interview with somebody else on their podcast and you could take parts of that. You want to make sure that you repurpose as much as you can content that you do. There's no need to recreate things over and over and over, but just make sure you don't put the exact same thing, because all these platforms will be quite a bit different and the audience will sometimes be completely different. And what's effective on Twitter may not be effective on Facebook, and what's effective on Facebook may not be effective on Instagram, and so on. So repurpose, but don't just copy. The fourth tip is to leverage your existing connections that you already have. It might be a good idea, depending on what kind of launch you're doing, to have maybe a launch team. So a lot of people use a launch team to launch a book, to launch a new product. And what a launch team really is it's just a group of people that you've allowed early access to your product, to your website, whatever it would be, and you let them see an inside view of the creation process and the process of marketing. And you kind of let them come along for the ride. Number one, it helps them. They get to see a successful launch. They get to see the background workings of it all. But then what happens is they become the advocates and the people out there marketing that product for you. And so you let them through a beta launch of your website, of your product, whatever that would be, and you can find these people via your mailing list, a Facebook group, or a community that you're a part of. And then you have them go through this, and it'll help you, number one, perfect your message and maybe tweak the product or tweak the website a little bit. But then it also gives you a number of people that are going to be out there being ambassadors for your product as well. So maybe consider a launch team. The fifth tip I have for you is to make sure that you build excitement leading up to the launch of the website. And so you want to do this several ways. One of the ways that works really well is to provide sneak previews of what's coming up. So you build some excitement. Do these sneak previews. Similar to what many of the technology companies do when they're launching a new product. They may leak out a little bit of news here and a little bit of a sneak peek here, and they build this excitement so when the product comes out, people have built up anticipation for it. Try the same thing for your website. Also, another way to build excitement would be to provide behind-the-scenes content of the product creation. So as you're creating your website, or maybe as you're doing some of your product creation, whatever it might be, you could have a quick little video that you post on your social media, or you could do a Facebook Live of behind the scenes, or you could do a Snapchat behind the scenes kind of content for the creation. Build a following when you're building the product, and that'll help build excitement. A sixth tip I have for you is to leverage your current social media platforms. So you want to make sure that you use your existing platforms to help announce your new venture, your new website. So if you already have a pretty good following on Facebook, you could use your Facebook reach to go ahead and bring in more people. You could say, hey, I'm starting this new website, or launching this new product, or this new movement, or whatever it would be, and you can announce that to the people you already know there on Facebook, for instance. Now, do note that you can even use your personal platforms as well. So let's say that you're just getting started and you may not have much of a social media presence. You might already have somewhat of a personal presence on some of these social media platforms. Don't be afraid to use those as well to kind of get the message out and to launch the new company, the new website, the new social media platforms. The seventh tip for you is to do guest posts. So guest posts are a great way to provide good content for other people's audiences, but also at the same time, it allows you to reach out to those people and so they know who you are. So reach out to a lot of people that have maybe similar blogs that would be with related audiences, and reach out to these people, give them some samples of what you might be able to write about, just maybe titles and themes, maybe a quick outline, and let them know you would be happy to do some guest posting for them about particular subjects. And you'll find that a lot of people will say yes to that. So guest posting. This is one of the best ways to get traction when you're just beginning a website, because you can piggyback off of other people's traffic. Now you want to make sure that you truly add value. This is not an ad for you writing for them, but this is rather a really good, high quality post with just at the very end maybe just a mention of who wrote it. And so people will be curious who it is, and they'll click on it and they'll find you. Some people, if you guest post on their blog, they may allow you to give away something for free. So you might say, hey, at the end of the blog post, to get my free cheat sheet for whatever it be, or to download my free ebook, or to enter this contest, click this link, and then you can capture their email. And of course, that would be key. Some people will not let you do that with a guest post, but if you can, that would be ideal. The 8th tip is similar to 7, but is to get guest interviews on podcasts. So you want to also, similar to reaching out about doing guest posting, you want to reach out to podcasters that would have a similar audience that you would like to reach and offer to be interviewed by them and to tell your story. Now, when I say tell your story, it's not just to be about you once again, but it's to instead use bits of your story and teach people from that how to do what you do. Find some way that you can add value to their audience and get on these podcasts, because this will once again get your name out there. And what I love about this goes with podcasting and it goes with guest posting. When you get to be on someone else's blog, when you get to be on someone else's podcast, in a sense, by them allowing you on their podcast or by them allowing you on their blog, it's kind of like an endorsement a little bit, that they've endorsed you. They trust you enough to allow you to reach out to their audience. And so you get a little bit of credibility there that you would not normally have just starting out from the beginning. So guest posting, guest podcasting, super, super important. The 9th tip for you is to try running a contest. So when you're just launching, you're going to have trouble many times getting people to be engaged and to get people to want to be a part of your mailing list or whatever that would be. So try running a giveaway to get people engaged from the very beginning. And what I would many times recommend is that you have, as part of the contest entry, that people need to share the contest or share something that you've put out on social media. That way you have a bunch of people marketing for you, reaching out to their audiences and to people that they know, and that can really multiply your reach very, very quickly. Definitely consider running a contest. The 10th tip for you is to make sure that you capture emails from the very, very beginning. So I've heard several stories about people that started websites and maybe for a year or so they did not capture emails. Of course, now they wish they had, because they realize the importance of a good, strong email list. And this is going to be so important for you. If you have not set up a good email service provider, go ahead and do that immediately. And you want to make sure that you put some kind of lead capture giveaway or something on your homepage and make it a really enticing offer to get people to go get on your mailing list. If you really truly want to be successful as an online entrepreneur or even as a physical entrepreneur but having a good presence online, you need to make sure that you have a good email list. So several that you might use. The first one is what many people use would be MailChimp. MailChimp is a pretty basic free option for you that a lot of people use. That's what I started out with. But I recommend, if you could and if you want to, especially if you just have at least a few people on your mailing list, try ConvertKit. And I've actually talked about this more in depth a few podcasts ago when we talked about how to use email marketing effectively as a salesperson. But ConvertKit allows you to do a lot more than MailChimp, and it allows you to segment your customers and set up different automations and sequences that you can take your customers through when certain things are clicked on or certain links are triggered. And this will really make this a lot more powerful. It'll also automate it a lot more and save you time. So if you could, ConvertKit would be what I recommend, but at least something like MailChimp, the free option. Now, ConvertKit is pretty inexpensive. For up to 1,000 subscribers, you can have ConvertKit for about $29 a month. I will go ahead and put an affiliate link in the show notes so that if you want to click on that, it'll take you through a little demo of the website and allow you to sign up there. And I think that would be a great one for you to check out. Definitely ConvertKit is my favorite for this particular situation. The 11th and final tip for you in launching your website and social media would be to use Facebook advertising to support your launch. Facebook advertising is a very, very powerful tool right now because of the ability to really target specific audiences. You can figure out that your target audience maybe would be females from ages 20 to maybe 30, and maybe you have some website that would be similar to your audience, and you could say that also like this particular website. And so you could target people by region, by what they like, by their age, different things like that, and you can target them down so that only people that would be more your target audience will see your ad. This allows you to, for a very inexpensive amount, to target specific people. So it's not like you're just throwing up a banner ad on a website that everybody and their brother is seeing, even people that don't care. You're actually able to target people down that would be somewhat interested in your product. So a lot better reach and a lot better success from an ad like that. Now, Facebook ads are pretty inexpensive, but if you don't know what you're doing, you could waste money in it. So what I recommend is to look at different experts and listen to different experts and let them kind of guide you if you're new. So one of the people that I would recommend that you look at would be Amy Porterfield. She has a really good podcast called Marketing Made Easy, and I'll put a link down in the show notes about this. And so she has very many podcast episodes covering Facebook ads that are very helpful. I've listened to several of those and found them very helpful. And another source that I would have you look at would be a guy named Rick Mulready. He is a Facebook ads expert. And so if you just go to rickmulready.com, you can check out his stuff, and he has a lot of information there about Facebook ads. I'll also put that link in the show notes. And then as you're using Facebook ads, just always remember to test, adjust, and repeat. So you can run an ad, see how effective it was. If it was super effective, then maybe you don't have to change anything. But if it was just kind of effective, then you may tweak a little bit things. Maybe tweak the wording, maybe change the picture, and do some things like that. And then as you start perfecting that, you'll find out what really works, and then you can repeat that. And so these are the 11 tips that I have for you. And I think if you go through and do these 11 things, I really think that your launch will be successful. I wish you the best, Emmy. I also wish those who are also launching new products and marketing new products, I wish you the best as you do this. It's not a super easy process, and it's something that you got to make sure that you're committed to, that you stick with, because it will work if you have the right message, if you have the right product, and if you have the right process. So make sure you go through these 11 tips. Now, I do want to mention that this is the official podcast of the Sales Mastermind community on Facebook. This podcast episode this question will be pushed over to the Sales Mastermind community, and we will also get the take of the people in the community, what they think and how they would recommend that you launch a website. And so I do recommend that you, if you're not already a member, go to salespurpose.com/community, and that'll forward you directly over to the Facebook community. You can request to join and be a part of that community and be a part of a community of other sales and marketing professionals. I know that'd be helpful. Also, would love to answer your sales and marketing question on a future podcast episode. If you'd like your question answered, you can just simply go to salespurpose.com/SM podcast, or simply email your question to Jonathan, Jonathan, the letter S, at salespurpose.com. Jonathan S. at salespurpose.com. And then as always, the show notes will be on the blog, the Sales Purpose blog, at salespurpose.com/session013. And then lastly, before I let you go, I want to remind you guys that I have a free 7-day email sales course that you can go through if you go to salespurpose.com/academy. And there you will learn the 7 secrets of sales success, one email sent to you each day, and it'll take you through some of my best tips for really being successful at marketing and sales. So I hope these tips are very helpful to you, and I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and I look forward to talking to you guys in the next podcast episode. Take care. Thank you for listening to the Sales Mastermind podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes below for any resources or sites mentioned in the podcast. Also be sure to subscribe and join the Facebook community to continue the conversation. Here's to your success.